tonight, I thought we might talk about something a little strange. Insomnia. The companion that no one really invites, but somehow always shows up. If you've ever been wide awake at 3 a.m, staring at the ceiling and wondering why your mind feels like it's running a marathon, while your body begs for rest, you already know the kind of journey we're about to take. And if you enjoy wandering down these quiet, thoughtful paths with me, I'd really appreciate it if you tap the like button or subscribe. It helps me know you're out there, listening in your own little corner of the world. I'm always amazed to hear where you're tuning in from. So if you feel like sharing, leave a comment with your location and the time. Somehow, it makes these late night talks feel less lonely, knowing that people everywhere are letting their minds drift into sleep alongside mine. So, let's slip into the world of insomnia. Imagine this. You open your eyes in the middle of the night, and instead of the soothing quiet that's supposed to greet you, you find an odd awareness humming beneath the surface. The room is familiar, but strange at the same time. Your bed feels heavier, like it's holding you in place, but your thoughts are too light, too restless to settle. You notice the faint glow of the alarm clock on your nightstand, the kind of dull red that doesn't brighten the room, just reminds you of the hour slipping away. The air is still, not silent exactly. You hear the creaks of the house adjusting to the night, the faint hum of something electric, maybe even a car rolling distantly through the street, but still enough that every sound feels magnified. The ceiling above you becomes a canvas for the mind to project onto. Shapes, shadows, half-formed images that flicker in and out of view. You shift slightly, adjusting your pillow, your blanket, but sleep doesn't come. Instead, your mind opens doors. Thoughts spill through. Some are ordinary, the groceries you forgot, the email you meant to send. Some are heavier, the memories you wish would stay quiet, the worries that seem louder at night than they do in the daylight. And yet, even in that restlessness, there's something oddly tender about insomnia, like a secret world that only exists when the rest of the house is asleep. You trace the edges of the quiet, realizing that outside, the entire neighborhood is breathing steadily in its slumber. Street lamps cast long beams of light over the empty road. Trees rustle faintly, their leaves whispering to the dark. Somewhere a dog stirs, its collar jingling once, then stilling. And you, awake, thinking, drifting but never quite falling, become part of this other rhythm. There's an intimacy in lying awake, in noticing details that daylight brushes past. The softness of your blanket against your fingertips, the way the sheets have molded slightly to your shape, the faint scent of laundry detergent still clinging to the fabric, mingled with the warmer, subtler notes of your own presence. You hear your own breathing, slow but not yet surrendered to sleep. It feels like the edge of something, neither fully awake nor fully gone. Insomnia carries you into odd corners of thought. You might find yourself remembering things you hadn't thought about in years. The sound of playground swings on a windy day, a teacher's voice calling your name, the way rain smelled one summer when you were younger. Memories don't ask for permission at night. They just arrive, sit down beside you, and keep you company until they decide to leave. Some are comforting, others less so, but all of them drift in and out like old ghosts. And so here you are, caught between wakefulness and the promise of rest. The irony of insomnia is that the more you chase sleep, the further away it feels. But if you lean into it, If you let your thoughts unfold like pages in a book, you might discover something unexpected. Because insomnia isn't just about the absence of sleep, it's about what appears in its place. The imagination, the fragments of memory, the delicate details of a world that feels softer, slower, and quieter than the one you wake to in the morning. Tonight, we'll wander through that world together. It starts subtly. The mind, when denied sleep, begins to stretch out its edges, almost as if it's searching for something to hold on to. You shift again, perhaps roll to your side, and notice the way the mattress dips beneath you. The faint rustle of your sheet sounds louder than it did earlier. Every movement feels magnified, as though the quiet has stretched the world thin. The pillow beneath your cheek seems both soft and unyielding, as if it has memorized your shape, but refuses to let you sink fully into it. You tell yourself you'll close your eyes, just for a few minutes, and not think of anything. But the act of not thinking is itself a thought. It loops back, curls around, and soon you're remembering something so small, so fragile. You wonder why it appeared now. The way a certain bookshop smelled one rainy afternoon. A line of poetry you can't quite recall, only the rhythm of it. The faint outline of a dream from years ago that never really left you. Insomnia pulls them from the depths like shells washed to shore, polished by waves of memory until they gleam strangely in the dark. The house around you is still, but not silent. If you listen carefully, you can almost sense it breathing. Pipes tick as they cool. A floorboard sighs. Somewhere in the walls, perhaps a mouse scurries, its claws clicking like miniature footsteps. In the distance, the refrigerator hums, then falls quiet again. These sounds, invisible by day, become companions at night. Not frightening, not unwelcome, simply proof that the world never entirely sleeps. And maybe you notice your heartbeat too, a steady pulse, echoing in your ears, reminding you of your own rhythm. You try to sync your breathing with it, hoping slow, measured inhales might coax your body toward rest. But insomnia resists coaxing. It's like trying to hold smoke. The harder you reach, the more it slips away. So you let the mind wander. You picture yourself outside, beneath the night sky. You imagine standing barefoot on cool grass, dew dampening your toes. Above you, the stars are scattered in ancient patterns, the moon glowing softly, pale and watchful. There's no traffic, no noise, only the rustle of leaves and the occasional bark of a distant dog. You breathe it in, the stillness, the velvet weight of night, and for a moment, you almost forget you're supposed to be asleep, because insomnia, frustrating as it can be, also gives you this: time. Time to think, to notice, to drift without direction. A strange, liminal space where ordinary rules no longer matter. Thoughts stretch long like shadows under street lamps, folding one into another. You think about a conversation you had weeks ago, the words you might have changed. You imagine walking down a quiet street in a city you've never visited, a place where no one knows your name. You hear the whistle of a train in your mind, carrying passengers somewhere far away. Perhaps you even picture the station, the shuffle of footsteps, the echo of luggage wheels. The details don't need to be real. They're simply the mind's way of filling silence. And there's something soothing in this drifting, once you stop fighting it. Insomnia is not an enemy pressing down, but a current pulling gently. It doesn't demand anything but presence. In its own way, it asks you to surrender, not to sleep, not yet, but to the moment itself, to simply be awake quietly in the night. In those hours, details sharpen. The blanket feels cool in one spot and warm in another. The faint scent of detergent lingers, softened by your own skin. The air tastes different, perhaps metallic, perhaps carrying the memory of rain. You realize the night is not empty at all, but alive with textures too fragile for daylight. The irony is that this is when sleep finally draws close. Not when commanded, but when you stop reaching for it. It slips in quietly, like a guest who prefers not to disturb. Your eyes drift closed, then half open, then closed again, without your notice. The edges blur. The room softens. You can't quite tell if you are still awake, or if dreaming has already begun. And so you hover there, balanced between wakefulness and rest. The night stretches on, but its weight feels gentler now. The thoughts that once tumbled have slowed, like leaves floating on still water. You don't reach for them anymore, you simply watch them drift. And in that quiet watching, that gentle surrender, sleep at last finds its way to you. At some point, the edges of your thoughts begin to blur. What starts as remembering becomes imagining, and what begins as imagining starts to feel almost real. Insomnia has this way of turning the ordinary into the surreal. You're still in your room, still on your bed, but suddenly the shadows on the wall look like landscapes. The folds of your blanket resemble rolling hills. The quiet hum of the night becomes an ocean tide, steady and distant, as though you've been set adrift on waves that rise and fall without end, carrying you toward places you've never seen but somehow recognize. You don't know when it happens, only that it does. One moment you're listening to the faint creak of the house. The next, you're walking through a corridor you've never seen before. The mind builds entire worlds in the dark, and insomnia lets you linger just long enough to notice them. Maybe you see yourself in a hallway lined with books, tall shelves reaching higher than you could climb. The spines glow faintly, as if lit from within. You run your hand along them, feeling textures, some smooth, some crack with age, some warm as though recently held. You don't open them, not yet. Just the act of walking among them feels like enough. Like the presence of stories is already speaking to you in whispers you almost understand. Somewhere in the background, the sound of your own breathing merges with the imagined shuffle of pages turning. You're not sure if you're the one turning them, or if the books are reading themselves to you. The strangeness doesn't alarm you. It's gentle, natural, like drifting into a daydream you forgot to wake from. And then, without deciding to, you step outside. The corridor opens into a night garden. The air is cool, carrying the faint sweetness of jasmine or lavender, maybe both. Dew clings to grass that stretches endlessly ahead. Moonlight spills across stone paths, and the shadows of tall hedges sway like they're breathing. There's no wind, not really, but the world stirs around you, alive in its own rhythm, like it has been waiting quietly for your arrival. You pause, standing there feeling both present and absent. Insomnia has drawn you here, into a place not bound by time. An hour might feel like a moment, or a moment might stretch endlessly. The strange thing is, you don't feel lonely here, not at all. The world feels companionable, as if the night itself has accepted your presence. Every detail seems to wait for you. The faint echo of water dripping somewhere distant, the way the path curves without ever ending, the stars shifting slightly, as though rearranging themselves just for your gaze, patient and unhurried. You take a slow step forward, and the sound is muffled by damp earth beneath your feet. Another step, then another. You don't know where you're going, but there's no urgency. In fact, there's comfort in not needing to arrive anywhere at all. Insomnia has given you this in-between place where wandering itself feels like purpose, where forward motion is its own reward. Your thoughts wander too. You remember a phrase someone once said years ago, words you didn't think mattered at the time, but now they return, echoing softly. You wonder about their meaning, about the way words linger long after the people who spoke them have gone. You think of faces, places, small details. They appear like fireflies, flickering long enough to catch your attention before vanishing again into the dark, leaving only a trace of light. This is the gift of insomnia, not the absence of rest, but the presence of awareness. Awareness that your mind can move freely when the world is still, that memories, dreams, and quiet imaginings can exist side by side, weaving themselves into something that feels almost like a story told only to you. And the longer you linger, the more that story expands, becoming part memory, part dream, part something unnameable that only the night seems able to hold. And in that story, the boundary between waking and dreaming grows thinner. You're still awake, you know you are. But if someone asked you to explain where you are, you'd hesitate. Because the room has slipped away, the bed has slipped, and all that remains is the quiet, dreamlike garden insomnia has opened. The air is cool, the path still winding, and you, awake, yet not entirely, continue onward. The path beneath your feet curves gently, like it knows exactly where it wants to lead you, even if you don't. Each step is softened by the damp earth, each sound hushed, as though the world itself is trying not to disturb you. You glance upward. The stars are brighter here, sharper somehow. They don't look like faraway suns anymore. They look closer, like lanterns strung just out of reach, swaying in a breeze you can't quite feel, flickering with a patience that seems infinite. Somewhere to your left, you hear water, not rushing, not insistent, but a slow trickle. You follow the sound, and soon you find a fountain. Its stone is weathered, darkened with age, yet the water spilling from its mouth glows faintly in the moonlight. You kneel, dipping your hand into it. The surface is cool, yet the sensation feels more imagined than real, like your hand is moving through memory itself. You don't drink, you just let your fingertips linger, tracing ripples that stretch outward until they disappear into stillness again, as though they never were. Insomnia does this. It takes small things and magnifies them. A trickle of water becomes an ocean of thought. The faintest scent becomes a story. You breathe in, and there's lavender again, though you're not sure if it's coming from the garden or from a tucked-away memory of childhood nights, when someone once placed a small sachet beneath your pillow. The mind confuses the two, but that's part of the charm of this in-between space, where past and present overlap until they are indistinguishable. You rise and continue along the path. Ahead, the hedges part slightly, revealing an archway. It's woven from vines, their leaves glossy, their flowers pale in the moonlight. You pass beneath it, and suddenly you're in a courtyard you don't remember entering. Stone benches are arranged in a circle, as though waiting for someone to sit and speak. In the center stands a tree, tall and solitary. Its branches stretch outward like an embrace, its leaves whispering secrets with every invisible breeze. You pause beneath it, listening, The sound isn't words exactly, but it feels like meaning. Something ancient, something familiar. You think of the way your own thoughts whisper when the world is quiet. Little reminders, little fragments of truth. You realize you've been here before, not in place, but in feeling. That deep quiet when everyone else has gone to bed, when the silence of the night feels like it has a voice of its own, steady and watchful. The benches seem to invite you, so you sit. The stone is cool, grounding. You lean back slightly and your eyes close, not fully, just enough to let the scene soften. Thoughts drift in and out. A conversation you had yesterday, a song you once loved, the outline of a dream you can't quite recall. They float by like leaves in water, brushing past without asking to be held, touching you lightly before they vanish. And you realize something. Insomnia isn't just the absence of sleep. It's its own form of dreaming. A dream you have while fully awake, one where you notice things you would otherwise miss. The way your breath moves through you, steady and patient. The way your body feels heavy, but your mind feels light, like a balloon tethered by the thinnest of strings. There's a freedom in this state, a gentle unfolding that daylight rarely allows. You let your thoughts move at their own pace. Some stretch into long, winding shapes. Others dissolve almost before they appear. It doesn't matter. The night is in no hurry. The garden is in no hurry. And neither are you. It feels like being carried, not forward exactly, but deeper, into yourself, into the quiet. When you finally open your eyes again, the courtyard has shifted. The tree looks taller. The benches seem farther apart. You don't remember them changing, but somehow they did. This is the way insomnia bends reality. Not suddenly, not with sharp edges, but slowly, like a tide moving in and out, reshaping the shore without you noticing until much later. Shadows move differently, stars rearrange, and you realize the world has kept breathing around you while you drifted in thought. And so you rise once more, steady and unhurried, ready to follow wherever the path leads next, knowing that the night will continue unfolding, detail by detail, as long as you choose to walk within it. The path narrows now, winding gently between tall hedges that seem to lean closer the further you go. They don't press in menacingly. Instead, they fold around you like curtains, cocooning you in their green embrace. The moonlight filters through the leaves in shifting patterns, dappling the ground in pale silver. Each step you take makes the shadows move, alive, as though they're following alongside you, silent companions who ask for nothing but your attention. The garden feels less like a place and more like a state of mind. With every step, you slip deeper into it. The air hums faintly, not with sound exactly, but with a presence. And in that hum, you begin to feel as though the night itself is aware of you, aware that you're awake when so much of the world is asleep, aware that your footsteps are part of its rhythm, soft notes in a quiet song. Insomnia, you realize, isn't silent company. It speaks, though not in words. It speaks through the creak of a floorboard, the whisper of leaves, the rhythm of your own heartbeat. It doesn't say much, but what it does say, it says with patience, stay a while. Listen closely. Let the hour stretch, unmeasured. Ahead, the path opens to a small clearing. At its center is a pool of water, perfectly still, reflecting the sky above. You step closer, drawn to the glass-like surface. The stars shimmer in it, doubling the night, as though there are two skies, one above you and one below. You crouch beside it, peering into the reflection. At first, You expect to see yourself, but instead you see fragments. A memory of walking down a school hallway, the smile of someone you once knew well, the faint echo of laughter from a summer night long gone. The pool doesn't mirror your face, it mirrors your mind, your hidden memories, the shadows of your own inner world. You watch as images ripple across its surface, each one lasting only as long as your attention does. Some are comforting, others tug at you with a faint ache. Insomnia does that. It hands you back pieces of yourself you'd forgotten you were carrying, small tokens of lives already lived. You lean back slightly, resting on your hands, and stare up at the real sky. The stars are impossibly sharp here, more vivid than they ever look in daylight memory. One streaks across the sky, and for a moment you almost believe you've conjured it simply by noticing, as though your gaze alone was enough to draw it downward. Time feels slippery. You don't know if minutes are passing or hours. Insomnia steals time in this way, reshaping it so you're never quite sure how long you've been drifting. But maybe that's the gift. Time loses its edges. You're not bound to the clock glowing faintly on your nightstand. Here, you're simply present, awake, breathing, wandering. The seconds dissolve, replaced by something slower, something wider, something that feels less like measurement and more like experience. The pool ripples suddenly, though there's no breeze. You glance back at it, and for a moment, you think you see a doorway shimmering in the reflection. An arch of light, faint but unmistakable, as if it were offering you passage into someplace deeper still. You blink, and it's gone. Only water remains, but you're left with the impression that insomnia is leading you somewhere, that these quiet wanderings aren't random at all, but part of a hidden path that reveals itself only when the rest of the world is dreaming. You stand, brushing your hands lightly against your clothes, and step back onto the path. The night feels expectant now, as though something waits just ahead. But it doesn't hurry you. It never hurries. The night has all the time in the world, and for now, so do you. Each step feels softer than the last, carrying you further into stillness, deeper into the gentle rhythm of the dark. And so you walk slowly into the deeper quiet, letting the hush of the hour fold around you like a blanket, certain that the night will keep opening its secret doors as long as you are willing to follow. The path stretches forward, curving into the unknown. You follow it, your steps slow, measured, unhurried. There's no destination here, only the movement itself, and strangely, that feels enough. The night folds around you like fabric, its weight soft but undeniable, draping itself across your shoulders as though it has chosen you to carry it. Soon the hedges fall away, and you find yourself in a new space altogether. It isn't a garden anymore, at least not the kind you recognize. It feels older, more sprawling. Tall trees rise like columns in a cathedral, their branches arching high above, weaving into a roof of leaves and stars. The air is cooler here, touched with the faint scent of moss and damp earth. A hush lingers, deeper than silence, the kind of hush that makes you want to tread lightly so as not to disturb it, as though the forest itself is listening back. And then you hear it, a sound low and steady somewhere ahead. At first it could be the wind, but as you listen closer, you realize it's water again, not trickling this time, but flowing. You walk toward it, weaving between the tall trunks, and soon you come upon a river. Its surface gleams silver and dark, the current slow but insistent. The water makes a sound like whispering, endless and calm, like a voice too old for language. You stand at its edge, gazing across. On the other side, you glimpse shapes, hints of houses perhaps, or lanterns glowing softly, suspended in the dark. The sight tugs at you. It looks familiar, though you've never been here before. Familiar in the way a half-forgotten dream feels when it brushes against memory, real enough to ache but too distant to hold. Insomnia does this. It blurs the edges between the seen and the imagined, between the places you've walked in waking life and the places you've only carried in thought. Both feel true, both feel possible. There's no bridge across, no ferry waiting, but instead of feeling frustrated, you feel strangely content to stand here and simply listen. The river is a companion. Its rhythm steadies your own breathing, slow and even. You think of all the rivers you've ever seen, the way they look in sunlight, the way they sound in the dark. You remember standing on a bridge once, years ago, tossing a pebble into the water just to watch the ripples expand outward until they disappeared. That small act, such a tiny gesture, feels connected somehow to this river before you now, as though all rivers are one. You kneel and dip your hand into the current. The coolness slides across your skin, carrying 1,000 tiny sensations, each one gone before you can fully name it. You don't try to hold them. You simply notice. And in that noticing, you begin to understand what insomnia has been offering all along. Not just restless wakefulness, but presence. The presence to see the night for what it is. Not empty, not endless, but alive with detail. The river whispers it to you. The trees whisper it. Even the stars overhead whisper it, their light softened into something more intimate. For a while, you simply sit there on the riverbank, letting your thoughts drift the way the water drifts, softly, slowly, steadily. You remember things without clinging to them. You imagine things without needing them to be real. Everything becomes a kind of flowing, and you, awake in the middle of the night, are part of it, inseparable from its quiet current. Somewhere far off, you hear a bell, not loud, not jarring, just a single chime, carried faintly across the water. You can't tell if it's a church bell, or a clock tower, or something else entirely. But the sound lingers, echoing through the trees, before fading back into the hush, like a reminder that time still exists, even if it feels suspended. The river continues on, curving into the dark, and though you're tempted to follow, you know the path will guide you in its own time. So you rise, brushing your hands against your sides, and take one last look at the glowing shapes on the opposite bank. They seem closer now, though you haven't moved. Or maybe they've been waiting for you to notice them fully, patient and still. Either way, you turn back to the path, steady and unhurried, ready to see where insomnia will carry you next. You step back onto the path, though now it feels different. The ground is softer, almost like it remembers the river flowing nearby. The air carries that same coolness, and every breath tastes faintly of water and stone. The forest around you shifts as you walk. Branches bend overhead, forming arches that remind you of doorways. Shadows fold and unfold like curtains, parting just enough to let you pass. Insomnia feels less restless now, more deliberate. It no longer tosses you from thought to thought. Instead, it guides you, as though it knows where you need to go, even if you don't. Ahead, the trees thin, and the path opens into a wide field bathed in moonlight. The grass glows faintly, silver at the tips, swaying in a breeze that you don't quite feel on your skin. You step into it, and the sound of your movements changes. No longer the muffled hush of earth, but a whispering rustle as the grass parts with every stride. The sound is soothing, like pages turning in an endless book. In the distance, you notice something unusual. A figure standing at the far edge of the field. You can't make out features, just a silhouette, still and patient, as if it has been waiting. Normally, the idea of meeting someone here might startle you, but insomnia carries a different kind of logic. You don't feel fear, you feel curiosity, the kind that rises in dreams when the impossible appears ordinary. You walk closer, the grass brushing against your knees. The figure doesn't move away, nor toward you. It simply waits. As you near, you realize it isn't exactly a person. It's more like an outline, a presence drawn from shadow and moonlight, a suggestion of form, but not solid. It feels familiar, though you're certain you've never seen it before. When you're close enough, it finally gestures, not with a hand, but with the tilt of its whole shape, as though pointing towards the horizon. You follow its gaze and see, far off, the river again, glowing silver under the stars. Only this time, a bridge has appeared, a slender arc of stone, pale and luminous, spanning the water, like it has always been there. You look back to thank the figure, but already it's dissolving, melting back into the night. The field feels empty again, though not lonely. The presence remains, like an echo in the grass. So you turn toward the bridge. Each step brings you closer, and as you approach, you notice that the bridge seems impossibly delicate. Its stones are thin, translucent, as though carved from glass, yet somehow you know it will hold. Insomnia doesn't trick you with dangers, it offers passages. You place one foot on the first stone. It feels solid, though it glows faintly beneath your weight, as if acknowledging you. Another step, and another. The river moves quietly beneath, carrying its endless whispers downstream. Halfway across, you pause and look down. For a moment, you see not water but images, memories rippling just below the surface. A classroom, a birthday candle flickering, the sound of someone calling your name from far away. Each vision appears, glimmers, then is swept away by the current. You breathe, steady and calm, and continue across. When you step onto the far bank, the bridge doesn't vanish, it simply fades, until you can't tell whether it's still behind you, or whether it was ever really there at all. What matters is that you've crossed. The air here is different, softer, warmer, threaded with a hum you can almost feel against your skin. The landscape has shifted again. Ahead, lanterns float in the dark, suspended at varying heights. Some glow low to the ground, others hover high like stars caught just above the earth. They sway gently, as though moved by an invisible hand. You walk toward them, each lantern pulsing with quiet light. Their glow feels alive, almost like breath, and as you move among them, you realize each one holds something. A memory, a thought, a fragment of dream. They flicker as you pass, showing glimpses. A door you once closed, a laugh you once shared, a place you once longed to see. Insomnia has gathered them here for you, keeping them lit long after the world forgot. And so, you walk among these glowing fragments, each step leading you deeper into the night's secret architecture. You move carefully among the lanterns, each one glowing with a soft, patient light. They don't feel like objects exactly, more like living thoughts, fragments given form. As you pass, they brighten slightly, as though aware of you. They don't hum or flicker. They simply exist, steady and unwavering, like companions placed here to walk with you, keeping pace without a sound. One lantern drifts close enough that you can reach out. Its glow touches your hand, not hot, not cold, but something else, something weightless, like the sensation of holding a memory you can't quite put into words. Within it, you glimpse a scene, a table, the outline of a chair, someone's voice speaking faintly, though you can't make out the words. Before you can focus, the lantern drifts higher, rising just beyond your touch, as though reminding you that some things aren't meant to be held for long. They arrive, they glimmer, and then they move on. You notice that the lanterns aren't scattered at random. They form a path, a kind of constellation across the ground. You follow their arrangement, one step at a time, watching as the lights stretch forward into the dark. Each lantern feels like a marker, guiding you gently, never rushing, patient in its placement. The ground beneath you has changed. It isn't grass anymore, or stone. It's softer, almost like a carpet of moss, springy under your feet, as though the earth wants to soften your steps. The silence is thicker here, wrapped around you like a blanket. Only the faint sound of the river lingers in the distance, fading slowly until even that is gone, leaving nothing but your own breath and the glow of the lights. As you walk, more lanterns stir. Some drift upward, some dip lower, swaying slightly as though acknowledging your presence. You don't feel watched, but welcomed. This place is built out of Insomnia's gift, the gift of being awake when no one else is, of seeing the things that only appear in the late hours, of noticing the textures of thought itself. One lantern hovers directly in your path, glowing brighter than the rest. You pause. Inside it, a memory forms more clearly. It's a doorway you've walked through many times, though you can't say when or where. The smell of wood polish lingers faintly, the sound of rain outside. A warm light spills from within. You almost expect to step through it, but then the lantern dims slightly, letting the image fade. It drifts aside, making space for you to continue, as though reminding you that memory is a visitor, not a home. You realize that insomnia doesn't just give you fragments. It lets you decide how long to hold them. Too much, and they slip away. Too little, and they never fully form. The rhythm of this place mirrors the rhythm of thought itself. Endless, meandering, rising and fading in time with your own quiet awareness. As you go deeper, the lanterns begin to rise higher, floating upward until they form a canopy above you. Their lights gather into patterns, constellations shifting and bending. For a moment, you feel as though you're walking beneath two skies, the real one above, and this other, softer one, built entirely of memories and dream fragments. Both feel equally real, equally infinite. And then the path curves. Ahead, you see a clearing where the lanterns have gathered thickest, glowing in a circle that feels deliberate, as if something waits within it. The air is still, expectant. Each step you take toward the circle feels slower, as though the night is urging you to savor it, to not rush, to let anticipation itself become part of the journey. When you finally reach the circle, the lanterns brighten together, pulsing like a heartbeat. In their glow, the mossy ground is bathed in gold. You stand at the center, surrounded by the quiet, by the weight of memory, by the presence of insomnia itself. And for a moment, it feels as though the night is holding you, not to keep you awake, not to keep you restless, but simply to remind you there is meaning here, even in sleepless hours. The lanterns sway gently as if nodding in agreement, their glow steady, patient, eternal. The circle of lanterns hums with a presence you can't quite name. Not a sound exactly, more like a vibration in the air, as though the world itself is breathing with you. You stand still, letting the glow wash over you, and for the first time tonight, it feels less like you are wandering through insomnia, and more like insomnia has drawn you here for a reason, as though the path itself was always meant to end in this light. One lantern drifts closer than the rest. Its glow pulses faintly, in rhythm with your own breath. Inside it, shapes begin to appear, not sharp or clear, but familiar all the same. A window you once looked out of for hours, waiting for someone to return. A chair worn down by years of sitting. A hand you almost remember holding. They flicker and dissolve, never staying long enough for you to fully grasp them. But the feeling lingers, comfort, longing, something in between. The lantern seems to whisper that memory does not need clarity to matter. Even blurred, it can still touch you. You realize the lantern isn't showing you random fragments. It's showing you yourself. The little pieces of nights you've lived before. The quiet details you'd forgotten but which insomnia kept safe in the folds of memory, carrying them forward until you were ready to see them again. More lanterns lean inward, their lights overlapping, until the circle glows almost like daylight, but softer, gentler, like sunlight remembered rather than sunlight itself. In their light, you feel something stir inside you, a sense of recognition, as if insomnia, for all its restlessness, has been trying to speak all along. And the message is simple: you are not alone here. The thought lands softly, yet firmly. You think of all the times you've lain awake, feeling like the only person left conscious in the world. All the hours spent watching the clock, waiting for morning. And here, surrounded by this quiet constellation of memory and light, you realize that even sleeplessness has company. The rustle of trees, the distant hum of the city, the soft, steady rhythm of your own heart. The world doesn't vanish at night. It simply changes, shifting into a slower, quieter form, one that welcomes you if you learn to notice it. The lanterns sway together now, as though nodding, as though agreeing. Their glow warms the clearing, wrapping around you in something that feels close to reassurance. You don't need words to understand. The night is saying, it's all right to be awake. It's all right to linger in this space between. It is not wasted time. It is simply another way of being. You sit at the center of the circle, letting the light settle around you. Thoughts drift in and out, but none of them demand your attention. They come, they go, like lanterns themselves, floating, glowing, fading, returning again. You don't chase them. You simply watch, and in that watching there is ease, and slowly your body begins to soften. Your breath deepens, your shoulders release their hold. The lanterns glow steadily above you, patient as ever, never rushing, never forcing. Their presence feels eternal, like they've been here long before you arrived, and they'll remain long after you leave, keepers of the quiet hours. The circle doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like a pause, a reminder that even in sleepless hours, there can be stillness, even peace, even the faint comfort of belonging to the night itself. When you finally rise, the lanterns lift higher, as though giving you space to continue. The path out of the circle glimmers faintly, waiting, ready to carry you onward, ready to unfold whatever the night still wishes to show you. And so, you step forward, Insomnia still at your side, guiding, whispering, leading you deeper into the quiet, deeper into the world that only opens when the rest of the house is asleep. The path leaves the lantern circle behind, but the glow lingers, woven faintly into the air around you. It feels almost like you've carried some of their light with you, tucked into your breath, your skin, your thoughts. Each step forward is softer now, slower, like the night itself is cushioning your movements, urging you not to hurry. Ahead, the landscape shifts again. The trees thin until they vanish altogether, and suddenly you're standing at the edge of something enormous. A plain stretches out before you, wide and endless, bathed in silver. The ground glimmers faintly, as though dusted with starlight. Above, the sky is vast, so vast it feels closer than usual, as though the stars have leaned down to meet you halfway, bending lower so you might walk among them. For a moment, you just stand there gazing out. The air is different here, bigger, spacious in a way that makes you feel both small and infinite at once. You realize that insomnia hasn't just been leading you through gardens and rivers and lantern-lit clearings. It's been leading you here, to this open expanse where thought and dream merge completely, where the boundaries between waking and imagining dissolve. You take a step forward, and the plane responds. The starlit ground ripples faintly, glowing beneath your feet. Another step, and another, and each one leaves a soft impression of light, fading slowly behind you. It feels as though the night is recording your presence, not in permanence, but in gentle acknowledgement. Yes, you are here. Yes, you belong to this hour. As you walk, the sky seems to shift. Stars rearrange themselves into patterns you half remember. A constellation that looks like a childhood drawing. Another that resembles the outline of a place you once knew. Still another that feels like a word never spoken aloud. They don't stay fixed. They bend, dissolve, reform. It's as if the universe itself is reflecting your thoughts back to you, quietly, without judgment, showing you that even your most fleeting imaginings leave their mark. You wonder how long you've been walking. Minutes, hours. Time doesn't hold shape here. Insomnia stretches it, reshapes it, until it feels like you've slipped into a place outside of clocks altogether, where duration is measured only by breath and heartbeat. And then you hear it, a low, resonant sound carried across the plain, not threatening, not sharp, but vast. It could be a bell. It could be the hum of the earth itself. Whatever it is, it feels like it's calling, not urgently, but patiently, as though it has always been calling, and only now have you noticed. You pause, listening. The sound vibrates through you, settling deep into your chest. It doesn't demand movement, but you find yourself drawn to follow it anyway. Ahead, on the horizon, a faint glow begins to appear. Not the glow of lanterns this time, but something larger, something rising and steady, too steady to ignore. You keep walking, the plain opening endlessly in every direction. The glow grows stronger with each step, until it paints the edges of the starlit ground in pale gold. It feels less like light and more like a promise, something waiting just ahead, something that has always been waiting. And in this moment, you understand something insomnia has been whispering all along. Sleeplessness isn't emptiness. It isn't absence. It's a doorway, a passage into a world that only reveals itself when the rest of the world has gone quiet, when everything else has surrendered to stillness. The glow swells, brighter now, and though you can't yet see what waits at its center, you know you're meant to arrive there. You know the path will hold until you do. And so you walk on, slowly, calmly, guided by the rhythm of your breath and the endless patience of the night, carrying starlight with you into whatever comes next. The glow ahead swells brighter as you move across the plain. At first, it is just a haze at the horizon, but with every step, it takes shape. The silver ground reflects it, glowing faintly under your feet, until you feel as though you are walking inside light itself, surrounded by a radiance that shifts with your movement. The air grows warmer here, not hot, just full, as though the glow itself is alive and reaching gently toward you. Soon, the glow becomes a structure, not a building, not exactly, but something vast, something that feels both made and unmade, like it has been waiting here since long before you arrived. Its form shifts as you draw closer. Sometimes it looks like an archway, sometimes like a tower, sometimes like a tree made entirely of light. You blink and it changes again, never holding still long enough to be named. At moments, it feels like all of those things at once. Doorway, beacon, shelter. You pause a few paces away, gazing at it. The glow hums faintly, resonant in your chest the way the bell's vibration did earlier. You realize it's not just light, it's sound too. A steady, low rhythm, like the pulse of the night itself, ancient and patient. The hum doesn't push against you, it rests inside you, sinking quietly with the beat of your own heart. And then, slowly, you understand. This glow isn't a thing at all. It's a presence, the presence of insomnia itself, not as an enemy, not as a thief of sleep, but as a guide, as a keeper of all the fragments you've wandered through tonight. The garden, the fountain, the river, the lanterns, all of them gathered here, folded into this vast, shifting form of light, as though every moment of wakefulness was always leading you closer. It doesn't speak with words. It doesn't need to. The meaning is already inside you. You were never wandering alone. You were being led here step by step, through every restless thought, every remembered image, every quiet fragment of the night. The glow pulses once, brighter, and in that instant you feel yourself reflected back. Not your body, not your face, but your whole presence, stretched out across memory, dream, and waking thought. For a moment, you exist everywhere at once, in the room where you began, staring at the ceiling, in the garden of shadows and whispers, on the bridge of starlight across the river, in the lantern circle, and here, now, standing at the heart of Insomnia's world, gathered into its embrace. It isn't frightening, it's tender. It's as though the night is reminding you that even in sleepless hours there is meaning, that wakefulness too can hold wonder, that rest is not only found in unconsciousness, it can also be found in the quiet act of simply being awake, of noticing, of breathing, of allowing the moment to exist exactly as it is. The glow softens, easing back into stillness. It no longer feels like it is ahead of you. It feels like it has moved inside you, folded quietly into your breath, into your thoughts, into the slow rhythm of your own heart. You don't need to follow it anymore. It is already here, part of you. The plain stretches on, the stars shimmer above, but you don't feel the need to keep walking. Not now, not yet. For the first time, insomnia feels less like wandering and more like resting, awake but calm, present, unafraid. It feels as though the night has drawn a circle around you, holding you gently in its center. You sit on the glowing ground, feeling its softness cradle you. The night hums gently around you, patient, endless, steady as the tide. And with each slow breath, your body begins to sink deeper, lighter, softer, like the ground itself is guiding you toward release. Sleep hasn't come yet, but you no longer need to chase it. You understand now that even this gentle wakefulness, carries its own kind of rest. And in that knowing, your eyes grow heavier, your thoughts quieter, your presence softer, held by the night that has been here all along, waiting only for you to notice it. You're awake. It's late, later than you meant for it to be. The room is dark and still, but your thoughts keep moving, tracing circles that never quite close. Insomnia has settled in, not as a sudden arrival, but as a slow unfolding, like a tide creeping quietly across the shore. You lie there listening to the hush. Every small sound grows louder at night, the hum of the walls, the faint creak of the house, your own steady breathing. Nothing is happening, and yet everything feels alive. The night itself seems aware of you, as though it's keeping you company. At first, the thoughts feel sharp. They pull at you, memories, worries, fragments of conversations that replay without asking. But over time, they begin to blur. What begins as remembering becomes imagining. What begins as imagining starts to feel real. The shadows on the wall turn into landscapes. The folds of the blanket become rolling hills. The hum of the house transforms into the sound of an ocean tide. You close your eyes, and suddenly you're walking. Not in the room anymore, but down a long corridor lined with shelves. Books tower on either side, their spines glowing faintly, as if lit from within. You brush your hand along them, feeling their textures, though you don't open them. Just walking among them feels enough. Somewhere softly, pages turn on their own, whispering secrets you don't quite catch. The corridor opens into a garden. The air is cool, sweetened by the faintest trace of jasmine. Dew clings to the grass, shimmering beneath the moonlight. Paths curve gently into the dark, lined with hedges that sway as though breathing. You walk slowly, without urgency, each step muffled by the damp earth. You come to a fountain, its stone worn and ancient. Water trickles from its mouth, glowing silver as it falls. You kneel, dipping your hand into the pool. The water feels less like water and more like memory itself, slipping across your skin, vanishing before you can hold it. Insomnia magnifies small things. A sound becomes an ocean. A scent becomes a story. You breathe in, and suddenly you remember nights long ago. A sachet of lavender tucked beneath your pillow. The comfort of being watched over. The memory flickers, then drifts away, as easily as it came. The path continues, carrying you beneath an arch of vines into a courtyard. A tree stands at the center, tall and solitary, its branches stretching wide. The leaves whisper, though no breeze stirs. You sit on the stone bench and listen. The whispers don't form words, but they feel like meaning, like a truth you've always known but never said aloud. That the night is alive and it welcomes you. You rise again and the garden shifts. The hedges fall away into a forest. Tall trees rise like columns in a cathedral, their branches weaving into a roof of stars. Somewhere ahead, water flows. You follow the sound until you reach a river, dark and steady, silvered with light. On the far bank, faint lanterns glow, as though a village awaits just beyond reach. You kneel at the river's edge and dip your hand into the current. The coolness slides over your skin, carrying fragments of memory. A laugh, a voice, the flicker of a candle. The river doesn't rush, it whispers. You listen until you feel the truth in its rhythm. Insomnia isn't emptiness, it's awareness, a way of seeing more, noticing more when the world is quiet. When you rise again, a bridge of stone light has appeared, fragile, glowing. It arcs across the water as though it has always been there. You step onto it. Each stone glows faintly beneath your feet. Halfway across, you look down, not at water, but at images drifting below. A childhood room, a summer night, someone calling your name. They ripple and dissolve as the current carries them away. You cross safely to the far side, where lanterns drift in the air. They hover at different heights, swaying gently. Inside each one, fragments of thought flicker, doorways you've walked through, voices you've heard, faces you've almost forgotten. They brighten as you pass, not to demand your attention, but to remind you that nothing is ever truly gone. The lanterns gather into a circle. You step into it, and their glow surrounds you, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. For the first time, it feels as though insomnia itself has drawn you here. The lanterns don't show you random fragments. They show you yourself. The small details, the quiet pieces, the nights you thought were lost, but which have been waiting all along. And in their light, you finally hear what insomnia has been whispering. You are not alone here. The thought settles into you. The lanterns sway gently, agreeing. The night is not empty. The silence is not absence. There is company, always. Your own breath, your own awareness. The quiet companionship of the world at rest. You sit calm now, and the lanterns rise, forming a canopy of constellations above you. Their lights merge with the stars until you can't tell which is sky and which is memory. Time stretches, soft and pliant, until you forget to measure it at all. When you stand again, the lanterns part, revealing a vast plain. The ground glimmers with starlight, the sky leans closer, and you walk across it slowly, each step leaving behind a fading glow. The horizon shines with a golden light, and as you approach, it shapes itself into something vast, an archway, a tower, a tree of pure radiance. It shifts with every blink, never holding still. You realize it isn't a structure. It isn't a thing at all. It's a presence. The presence of insomnia itself, not as a thief of rest, but as a guide, as the one who has led you here, through every fragment, every whisper, every sleepless wandering. It reflects you back to yourself, not as a body, but as a whole presence stretched across memory and dream. You are everywhere at once, in your bed, staring at the ceiling, in the garden, by the river, beneath the lanterns, walking the starlit plain. And for the first time, you see that all of it is part of the same rhythm. The glow fades, not all at once, but gradually, like the dimming of a candle after a long night. You remain seated on the silver ground, breathing slowly, feeling the warmth of insomnia's presence settle inside you like a quiet ember. The vast plain stretches out in every direction, but now it doesn't feel endless. It feels still, complete, like a story told from beginning to end. Above, the stars continue to shine. They no longer rearrange themselves into patterns. They simply glow, steady and calm, like guardians keeping watch while you rest. Their light doesn't demand your attention anymore. It simply drifts over you, soft and patient. The air is cool but gentle. Each breath you take feels smoother, slower, carrying you deeper into calm. Your body, heavy now, seems to melt into the soft ground. Muscles loosen, shoulders drop. Your jaw unclenches. The restless edges dissolve. All that remains is quiet. And in that quiet you realize, insomnia isn't just wakefulness. It isn't just the mind refusing to sleep. It is also this, a passage into stillness, into awareness, into deeper noticing. It is both a wandering and a returning. The garden, the river, the lanterns, the glow. Each fragment was part of the same rhythm, carrying you here into a calm that doesn't need to end. You understand now that even sleepless nights have their own kind of rest. Not in absence, but in presence. Not in silence, but in listening. You let your eyes close. Behind them, the images of the night flicker one last time. The tree in the courtyard, the bridge of light, the circle of lanterns. They drift like dreams already fading, and with every breath, they slip further away, carried gently into stillness. Your thoughts are quieter now. They drift like feathers on water, dissolving into the rhythm of your breath. And you, here in this moment, are exactly where you need to be. The night hums softly around you. The world holds you. And whether sleep comes now or later, it doesn't matter. You are already resting. You are already safe. You are already home in the quiet. And so, slowly, softly, the story fades. Good night.